He's going to start his second company. And everybody in the business goes, Henry Ford's a failure. We're not going to give you money. Once you fail in this business, you're gone. He somehow conned somebody into giving him money. Tried a second time. It was a disaster. It's even worse, an even bigger failure. Right now, he's totally ruined. No one will ever go near him. He found some kind of naive Scottish investor. He got the money from this guy. And now he understood exactly what he needed to do. He understood why he failed. He understood he had to create a factory system that had a certain kind of scale to it. He understood what the customer wanted. He learned so many lessons that his third one was a huge success, became Ford Motor Company and became the factory system. He said, I only learned how to be so successful through all of my failures. It's hard to learn things when everything's just an idea, when it's just abstract. We're concrete people. We're animals. We live in our bodies, right? And so if you're all in your head, it's really hard to learn. But if you're doing it, you learn so much faster. So if you want to start a business, you can spend 5 years putzing around. Oh, I've got to get better at this. I've got to go to business school. I've got to read this book. You don't start the damn thing.
Totally. This business school stuff drives me absolutely crazy, to be honest, because there's kids getting into serious debt, spending 4 years learning business. Just start a business. You'll learn sales quite quickly because you've got no choice. So what's happened? And what can people do to kind of fight back? Because people will be listening to this and they'll be saying, right, for example, we're helping a lady who wants to be a graphic designer. She was going to go to UCLA for 4 years, costing her $60,000 a year. She's going to get into 240.
UCLA, is that expensive?
Yeah. Well, she's out of state.
Oh, okay.
So out of state plus her cost of accommodation. So it's going to cost her $60,000 a year. So $240,000 and 4 years of her life to learn graphic design. By doing it, surely that's logical. I put this video about this. People telling me, no, she should go and learn. She should go to UCLA. And what's happened that's the default everyone believes is the way to do things?
One of the people that I interviewed in Mastery is a man named, his name just suddenly, Paul Graham. Sorry.
Okay.
You know who Paul Graham is?
Y Combinator.
Yes,
Y
Combinator.
Big fan. Yeah.
In the 70s, he was a hacker. Early on in the computer era, he learned hacking when he was very young. He went and studied AI at like MIT, some university like that. And then he decided that he wanted to be a painter, and he left school and he went to Italy and he studied to become a painter. And then one day he was in New York in a loft trying to paint. He had no money, and he heard an ad on the radio that the internet, which was just starting out, would be where people would buy things, but nobody thought of that. He goes, with my skill in coding and my design skills, I'm going to create that. He created it. He sold it to Yahoo for $5 million, and then he went on from there. He started Y Combinator, and Y Combinator is like a school for entrepreneurs, right? And the idea is we'll teach you how to start your business, and then we'll own a share of it, okay? But because he understood the process of learning by doing, he created his own business by just simply doing it, by hearing an ad on the radio and just having the cojones to go out there and do it. And so his school, his incubator school, was based on the idea that you're going to come to Mountain View or wherever it was, Palo Alto, and you're going to build your business right there in the school. You know, you're not going to study any kind of books or anything. You're going to build your business. We're going to watch you build it. And then if it's good, then, you know, we'll fund it for you and everything like that. So he understood learning by doing, right? And he would get, because it was so successful and it started so many businesses that way.
Well, like Airbnb was started in that incubator, for those that don't know.
Yeah,
so it's a very...
Sam Altman, who we all have heard of, he came from that.
He was running Y Combinator for a while.
He was running it, but he also came through it.
Yeah.
He would get 5,000 applications every year for people who wanted to be in the incubator school. And as soon as he got the sheet that said Yale University, he threw it in the trash. As soon as he got one that said, I went to, you know, this business school, he threw it in the trash. Then there would be somebody who just was a kid somewhere who had like done his own kind of computer work on his own. He'd put that in the possible pile. People who went to these schools, he thought they were totally useless. They had no ambition. They were not self-starters. You want to be a self-starter. You want to learn in life to start things, to do it on your own, not to wait, to just go out there and start it. Because if you start your business, you will learn more in 2 months than in 20 years of business school.
Totally true.
Right? And you'll probably fail, but your failure will teach you. So stop waiting and just go out and start it. I went to university. There's nothing wrong with the university. There's nothing wrong with learning. But learning as as a way of delaying actually building something is wrong.
But you can do and learn at the same time.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of Y Combinator. I built a competitor called Nest to Y Combinator in Asia. And we didn't do it as well as them, I would just like to say. One thing I noticed, we used to get about 3,000 applicants per accelerator program.
Yeah.
And we can only bring 8 companies in. I always felt bad. We left thousands of people behind.
Yeah.
But what I loved about the model, apart from leaving people behind, which is why I do this way instead of that way now, is that the whole model is you're doing, but ever so often as you're doing, maybe someone knows something you don't know that can allow you to do the doing better. And that's what the apprenticeships were about.
Yeah.
You can, if you're, making something with carving something, if someone who's carved before says, just, that area there, be a little careful because that wood comes back. Brilliant.
Right.
So guidance, I guess, is where mentorship comes.
Yeah.
You had a mentor, right?
But I had a mentee.
Mentee. Oh, sorry, mentee.
Ryan Holiday. I was his mentor.
Oh, right.
And now he's more successful than me.
But that's because of your good work.
Perhaps.
But there's not enough of that now, by the way, in the world. There's not enough of that supporting someone through your experience. Why did you decide to mentor him?
He was 19 years old. He was just this kid at University of California, Riverside. He was a big fan of 48 Laws. I needed somebody to help me, and I had really bad luck. People are really lazy. They don't take instructions. If you criticize them, they wilt. They're like, oh, they don't. It's really hard to criticize people. But when you're serious in writing a book, you have to criticize people.
Yeah.
So I thought, I'll give this 19-year-old kid a try. He seems very sincere. He was fantastic. I could criticize him. He didn't wilt. He didn't become this little shrinking person. He understood it. He improved, and he was very smart, and he understood my thinking process. And so I can't take credit for him because he's very motivated, very ambitious, and he's extremely smart. But I helped him. I helped him along the way. I taught him. I got him a job at American Apparel where I was on the board of directors, which gave him the idea for his first book. So I can take credit for that. But I also taught him kind of the bread and butter of how to write a book, how to organize it, how to create notes, how to research. So I helped him in that sense. And now he's a global phenomenon.
People are listening, and they I think learning by doing is quite an obvious thing, but people are scared to go and do it on their own. Just again, ask the same question kind of, but how, if people want to get a mentor, what do you think the way is to get someone to help you with the doing? Do you think there's any way you go about it?
Well, not to promote myself, but I have a whole chapter on it in Mastery.
Oh, okay.
It's, about mentorship and why it's so important. It's exactly what you said, that people can watch you. They can see that you're doing it this way, but you should do it that way. And giving you that instruction can save you years of not getting it correct. So it can be very valuable.
Adapt relentlessly and reinvent yourself.
The world changes at a very rapid rate. And so a lot of problems that people have, they come to me is, I got into this career. They're older people, and it was really great. I mean, you don't know how many people here in Los Angeles in the film business had a little niche job that was really comfortable, making a lot of money. And suddenly streaming came on, they lost it. Suddenly AI come on, they lost it. Horrible. It's a horrifying experience. And so this world is ruthless like that. The pace of change has never been like this in the history of humanity. You can't let yourself get trapped in a career that's going to be like that, right? You have to be flexible. The goal in this world now, in this economy, is having a variety of skills, not like all over the map, but within a certain framework. You've learned 4 different ways you can go. And then when that change happens, you're able to adapt. But you always have to keep in the back of your mind that this whole thing could blow up. You're relying on social media, your TikTok could be gone tomorrow. Suddenly, the social media world is completely different. Well, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but you have to be aware of that this could happen. Mm-hmm. Where would I go from there? You have to be fluid in life. You can't be stuck and think, this is what I'm going to be doing for the rest of our life, because the world doesn't operate that way. I know writing books, when I began in the late 90s, there was no internet really for books. It was all mainstream media, magazines, newspapers. It was hell. I hated it. Then the internet started coming about. And when I did the book with 50 Cent, suddenly you had to kind of market yourself on the internet. Then that completely changed by the time my next book, each time my book comes out, the landscape is completely different. Nothing is the same, and I can't rely on what I did before. So I have to adapt to each new change that's going on. If you're rigid, if you think that I've figured it out, I've got it, in the pocket, I know exactly, I've got the perfect career, you're going to be a dinosaur at some point. You're going to be extinct. The world will move on and you'll be left behind. So be open and willing to adapt and be aware of what's going on in the world and how the industries are changing. And reinvent yourself is, it's actually, you want to think of it as something exciting. In 48 Laws of Power, I have the metaphor that we're all actors, that part of being a social animal is to act. And people who are really successful are actually really good actors. They know how to perform in front of the people who work for them, in front of the public. They're not being exactly who they are. They're not being completely authentic. They're playing a role and they're good at it. So you're an actor. Take control of that and realize people are going to judge by how you appear. Reinventing yourself is like becoming someone else. It's like fun. It's like, I'm going to be someone else. It's a new role I'm going to play. My own way of doing that is each time I write a book, I do something very different from the last book. So 48 Laws of Power, I go to Art of Seduction. Then I go to writing a book about war and strategy. That's quite different from seduction, but not really. And then I go and write a book with 50 Cent. It's completely different. And then I write a book on mastery, which is something I've never done before. And now I'm writing a book on the sublime. I want to keep challenging myself. I want to be somebody different. I want to be able to perform differently. So each book, I have to talk about it in a different way. And it kind of excites me because I am a bit of an actor. I have kind of a ham side to me. It's exciting to feel like you have control over your identity, about how people see you. And that sometimes you like to mix it up. Rock stars are really good at that. Michael Jackson was kind of the master of it. He was never quite the same person. He was always changing. I like the idea of never staying still, of always moving, adapting, and becoming a different person. If people get to know you too well, if they know exactly who you are, and this is like later in your career and you're in your 40s, they tune you out because they're too familiar. They know who you are. They're bored with you and they're going to move on to somebody else.
I've been married for 23 years. I think it's because I keep reinventing myself. So she hears a new person with a new story. Otherwise, she would have left me long ago. I totally agree with it. Yeah.
You want to keep the public on their toes. Like they haven't quite figured out Simon Squibb. He's suddenly coming out with this other idea, I don't know what that would be. Well, we didn't know who he was. How interesting. As opposed to, oh God, I'm so tired of that guy. I've been looking at him for months. Let's move on to somebody else.
I think people do have that, to be honest, that last one. I think people not Simon on our For You page again. But I think reinventing yourself as well, I think a lot of people listening, there's innovator's dilemma as well, right? Where sometimes people have something that's working. I see this a lot in middle class lifestyle. People have a house, they have a car, they have a job. Yeah. They can't suddenly not be a lawyer anymore.
Yeah.
So how do you make sure you reinvent? Is there a hack there that people how do you reset yourself?
The world is working against you. It wants you to be young. You want to be open and you want to hold that openness and that spirit of adventure. And so if you're going into law and you're in your mid-20s, just look ahead and just look at the people who are in their 40s and how unhappy they are and how stuck they feel and go, I'm not going to be like that. So what am I going to do? I'm going to think of a second career I can use, channeling off my law skills, because lawyer skills are actually very valuable skills for other things, for other endeavors, because you understand the law. Therefore, you can, be very helpful. Let's say that you wish you'd been a musician. You can become an agent or something like that because you know law, right? So keep in your mind that at some point you're going to branch off from this one direction you're going in and have a plan and be fluid and be excited.
You don't want to have any regrets either, do you? You don't want to make sure. Do you have any regrets? Is there anything you think?
My only regret is that I'm not 23 anymore or 22. But I can't.
I'm sure
really
that technology's coming.
No, no, I don't have any regrets because everything worked out for the best. In Buddhism, there's the Dharma wheel, and it turns everything, and everything kind of happens according to the Dharma, which is law. So here, the Dharma wheel has spun, and now I'm talking to you. That's just the way it was meant to be. So I'm happy. I have no regrets.
Finally, just to ask, reinventing yourself. I think the big thing right now is AI. What's your take on that world? What do you think is going to happen there?
I'm not personally a lover of AI. I think it has a positive aspect, which is it could invent cures for terrible illnesses and things like that. Great. Who would be against that? In Mastery, I talk about how the human brain works and how we have to be disciplined and we have to be willing to deal with tedium. We have to learn. And learning is something that you have to enjoy and be excited about. And I think a lot of young people are getting too goddamn lazy. From what I hear from people in universities, they don't want to read a whole book anymore. They just read summaries. They just get on AI. The AI kind of helps them with their essays. You think you're being clever. You think that, man, I don't have to write an essay. I can just get AI to help me. But you're hurting your brain.
It doesn't sharpen up.
No. So one example is learning a foreign language has so many benefits, right? First of all, it's disciplining your mind. Each language has a different logic. French has a different logic than English. German does. Each time you enter that language, your brain is learning a different logic. You're enriching your brain with that.
Probably firing up new parts of your brain even.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's also making you so that you can go to a place and interact with people who are different in their own language. And speaking another language makes you into a different person. People tell me that when I'm in Spain, I lived in Spain, I became Spanish. I was much more kind of aggressive and masculine, and my hands were going all over the place, you know? It changes you. But now with AI, people are just going to their goddamn phones and they're getting like translations for everything. They go sit to a restaurant and they go, how do I order this? And it gives them the whole thing and they spit it out in a really bad accent. You're cheating yourself. Use it as a tool. It's a tool. It's not, don't become a slave to technology. Yeah. Be the master of it. I use AI when I'm needing a research problem that I can't get it. So I ask ChatGPT, and sometimes it gives me a good answer and I use it, but I select it. We fetishize technology so much, but we really should fetishize is the human brain. The human brain is, if you think about it, 50,000 years ago, we didn't have language. We were these hominid creatures. Through the development of our brain, we created language, which no other animal has. And our brains just exploded and they became, scientists have said, it is the most complex organ thing in the whole entire universe. The number of neurons in your brain that can connect is astronomical. It can't even be computed. Your brain is a wonder, which is something that's sublime. You were gifted with this at your birth, this insane instrument that no other animal, my cats are really clever, but they don't have that power. They can't, invent things. They
guess the future.
As far as I know.
Yeah, they probably can. They're keeping quiet. They're smarter than that. Yeah.
But AI is great. We invented it. Our brains invented it. But let's celebrate the brain that invented it, not the actual tool.
Robert, thank you so much for taking time out to share your knowledge with us today.
You're very welcome.
I feel honored. Robert Greene just sat down with me to share the tools you need to master yourself, seduce anyone, and build